We're back.
We're back. Just stretched.
We're on a roll this morning.
Mhm.
We're on to episodes. Well, we're recording our second episode of the day because we are getting back on our bullshit.
Yeah, we are on it. Like a carb on it.
And today's episode
is we wanted to entitle the I'm not gay, and have a chat about all the things we did growing up that were queer coded, but our young selves were like, no, I'm not. That doesn't mean I'm gay.
I just realised we haven't even introduced ourselves yet. So if this is your first time listening to Vegans and Vegetarians, my name is Lucy Taylor.
And I'm Victoria Barkby.
And we are your hosts. We're very gay.
We are your worst nightmare. That's not true. We're like the Fairly... Remember the... Oh, God, I can't say it. The Fairly Odd Godparents.
Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
The Cartoon Network show.
Yeah, we're like them.
Why? How?
I don't know. Because there's two of us, and through wit and whimsy.
We could have literally been any two TV show characters and you picked Fairly Odd Parents.
See, no,
we could have been the Chuckle Brothers. We could have been...
Well, not really, because one of them's
Tom
dead.
And Jerry. Oh.
Yeah.
We could have been... I was going to say the Three Musketeers.
Kiwi's D'Artagnan.
We could have been My Parents Are Aliens.
I loved that programme.
I loved it until like randomly like halfway through, however long it had been on TV, like halfway through the show, like they switched the woman actress to like a completely different actress.
Yeah, they changed Sophie.
She had like a really shrill voice.
She used to be blonde and then she was kind of auburn.
And no, she changed from the auburn one to the blonde one because I didn't like the blonde one.
I thought the blonde one was the original Sophie.
No, I thought the orange one.
The orange one. Do you know what I really didn't like as well is when they tried to, like when the kids got too grown up, they tried to relaunch it with a whole other set of kids. And let me Google it.
We're off on a tangent now.
My parents at the
Stick to the fucking...
Stick to the script, Victoria. Are aliens. There were 5 seasons. No, that's what Lucy apparently looks like now in real life. That's Robert. She doesn't look a thing like what she used to look like. That's apparently Lucy. Not to be confused with Lucy, your host. We're talking about different.
Right, shall we get back to the topic of today's podcast?
Yeah. Because I could go down a...
So I suppose we kind of came to the conclusion that this was something we wanted to have a chat about off the back of... there's like a post kind of circulating the internet at the moment to do with the actor Bella Ramsey. What's the gender neutral name for an actor?
I think it's actor now.
Okay.
Like everyone's an actor.
I know that Bella Ramsey uses, I think they use like they, them and she, her pronouns. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they had said that they started to explore their gender through Club Penguin. And I sent this screenshot to Tony the other night because we were also having a discussion about The Sims recently.
Yeah, we've been on our Sim share.
So if you want to start by explaining how you started to explore your sexuality through The Sims.
It's not what you think. Like, heads out the gutter, please. So what I used to do growing up, so I worked out that I was gay at a fairly young age, but I didn't quite understand what that was or what that meant. And I also thought that I was the only gay person in the world to exist. I didn't realise it was a thing. But I thought there was something wrong with it, so I didn't breathe a word to anyone. I told no one. But obviously growing up in a house with a sibling and playing The Sims, we shared the neighbourhood. So there was loads of little Sim families, some of which were created by me, some of which created by my sister. Shout out Moon Island. But I dared not make a gay Sim. So what I did instead was I just made like a man Sim and then lived my little gay life through my man Sim. Because at least that way, if anyone in my family found my little Sims, they would just look like a perfectly hetero, normal family, and there was nothing remotely gay about it. So
Then-
that's how I got round it.
Then there was me who would like play The Sims in secret and like make two female Sims woohoo. And I'd be like, why does this make me feel tingly? At like 11 years old, I'd be like, I'm doing something that I feel like I'm not supposed to be doing right now, and it makes me feel a certain way. I keep making these girl Sims kiss each other, and I can't help.
Like, I can't help. They did it on their own. They did it through the autonomy feature.
It wasn't me.
I didn't command them. I remember when it was round about the time I'd downloaded the it was back when Sims University just came out, and I had again my little man Sim was living his best life at uni. He played the drums, and he had a mohawk, and he just looked cool.
Right.
And I can't remember what, I think it was history. He was studying history because I liked history. Don't know why I played the drums because I played the guitar, but I thought it was just cool to watch in a sense. But I remember my mum saying to me, she's like, and I remember then thinking, oh, shit, you better cover your tracks, Victoria. She was like, you never make any girl Sims. And I remember then I didn't stop. I was going to say I didn't stop playing with my boy Sim. I made an alternate Sim, which I was far less. I think her name was Lucinda.
Lasagna.
I think her name was Lasagna.
Her name was Lasagna.
Her name was Lasagna. Her name was Lasagna.
She was
a showgirl.
It was the way you said Lucinda.
It's the Lanarkshire accent.
It wasn't Lucinda, it was Lucinda.
So what we were talking about yesterday, it was like, let's have lunch. Let's have lunch. It's my accent. But I remember making this kind of, it's weird, I like bearded my gayness.
What?
With a female Sim, if that makes sense.
A bearded big anus?
No!
What?
Get your head out of the car.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Covered up my homosexuality.
What did you say?
Bearded my gayness.
Bearded big anus. That was like the water. It's just spilling.
Covered up my gayness. No, like to beard.
What the fuck is a gayness?
Like homosexualityness. Gayness. GAYNESS. Not to be confused.
What the fuck?
Just to confirm, the time is 10:37 a.m. and Lucy has already lost.
I'm having a brain malfunction.
It was like me this morning going, I've not got my hot tub. I was not awake this morning. It seems that as I have woken, you've gradually...
Instead of gayness, I was hearing gayness. Gayness.
Goodness.
Fuck. Anyway.
Yeah, so I basically covered it back up by making a female Sim. I remember. I think their names were Lasagna, and it was my man Sim's name was Derek.
Derek and Lasagna.
I don't think they ever met each other. Like the two Sims never. I'm not sure if they became friends or not. They definitely didn't get involved with each other. I don't think.
Oh,
They were very separate Sims.
interesting.
That was my tragic tale.
I'm not gay, but I used to play Habbo Hotel when I was like 10 or 11. And I don't know if anyone's listening ever used to play Habbo Hotel, but like basically there were like rooms that you could visit within the hotel. Supposed to give some context, like if you were like under the age of 20 and you're listening to this, or under the age of like, I don't know, like 24 and you're listening to this.
If you're a youngin'.
If you're a youngin', then Habbo Hotel was probably not a part of your upbringing. It's kind of weird actually, because I'm sure, so there were two different versions, right? So there was the UK Habbo Hotel and then there was the US one. The US one was actually shit. The UK one was where it was at. And the way that it worked, for some reason, like on one of them, like the age that you had to be, like the age that you had to be to sign up was 11, and the other one was age 13. I don't think I even was like 11 at this point in time. So I remember my mum finding out that I was playing it, and she was like, "You're banned from playing it until you're old enough." Like
Until you're 11.
yeah. So I had to stop playing it, and then I started playing it again, and there would be like, I guess, like base rooms in the hotel that like were part of it that the developers made or whatever.
Mhm.
But then there would be rooms that like if you were a player, then like you could create your own rooms. There were microtransactions within the game, so like you could buy coins that could then like buy you furniture and stuff. So I used to like spend my pocket money on like Habitat Club membership and buying furniture and stuff. So it was kind of like Club Penguin, but it was more. I feel like it was busier. Like there was a lot more people on it, and there used to be like certain rooms that people would make that were kind of like dating rooms or like matchmaking rooms, and there were like specifically like ones for like gay people and lesbians. And I used to be like, oh, that's really naughty. But then I'd be like, I'm gonna click in there and just see what happens. And I remember I'd be sitting there like, oh, like what's the gay room? I'm in the gay room, and there's all these like women avatars like flirting with each other. And I was obviously like way too young to be in there in the first place.
11-year-old you.
But I was just sitting there in gay panic, like, oh my god. And then I would feel so like dirty afterwards, and I'd be like, I'm not supposed to be.
Oh no, shouldn't have been in there.
So I'm not gay, but I used to frequent lesbian chat rooms when I was like 12, 13 years old.
As she sits here with her hood up going, aye, under cover of darkness. And into the lesbian chat room.
Right, what else have we got?
I know, what else have we got in there? So when I was little, I find it, we've kind of touched on this before about like going full circle, but when I was little, I used to exclusively wear boys' clothes. And my mum would be like, oh no, the big one for me was, my mum was always like, used to, like, I was only interested in playing with like cars and things. This is when I was a child, not when I was like 21. My mum was like, oh, I know you were gay because you only liked playing with these certain toys. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not gay. I just like cars. Said every mechanical lesbian.
I think like a big one for me, like as a teenager, was going to parties. Bearing in mind, like I had a boyfriend at the time, and we had this like this makes me cringe so much, but like we had this like agreement of like, well, it's not cheating because like you're straight and we're in a relationship. Which is so problematic on so many levels, and like I suppose it ties into the whole like fetishization of like and sexual like hypersexualization of lesbians and like women loving women like relationships and interactions and stuff. But like I used to go to parties at like 15 years old, and I'd always find the people that were playing Spin the Bottle, and like I was only really playing it like with the aim of like wanting to make out with my female friends. I was never even really like that attracted to any of them either though. Like I didn't have any friends that I was like, I fancy you, like I've got a crush on you. Like none of them were my type.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like that whole like wanting to explore and experiment, and I like rationalized it because I was like, well, we're all straight here, like we're all in relationships, like we're literally just drunk and making out with each other. But then it wasn't until I got a bit older that I realized that like straight people don't do that. Like all the straight people that were at the party were like they were mingling with each other and not playing Spin the Bottle with us
the
girls.
gays are like,
They were all
let's
just like making out
spin the
with each other.
bottle.
Yeah.
That was the opposite way. I was terrified people would just see it. So I just didn't go to parties because I thought they'll know.
They'll know I'm gay.
They'll know I'm gay if I show up and be gay.
If I show up and I'm not pulling any of the boys.
I remember, I can't remember if I've told you this or not, about, I think his name was David. So I feel like, no, do tell. So I remember being, it was like...
You've not told me this one, love.
Oh, you've not told me this one. It's not as exciting as I've teed it up to be.
Mm.
You're like, oh, don't bother then. So I remember being at someone's birthday party, I think it was in 6th year, at high school. And at the end of said party, so I kept myself to myself. Like, I wasn't really a party animal, so I wasn't really... Like, I was there for my friends. I remember they played Westlife at one point and I had to wee dance with my sister on the dance floor. But at the end of the night, this guy came up to me and it was the kind of like I seen you earlier on in the night type chat. And I remember at that point thinking, oh no, oh no, no, no. And I was like, it's time to leave.
Oh no.
And at this point, my sister had just passed her driving test, and my sister was driving, and all my pals were like for me personally, there was absolutely not there was no hormones firing from my perspective. All my friends were like, oh, he's fit. Like I would I suppose me just did not feel that, and my pals were like, he's fit. Like go back, and I went to the door by that point, and I was like, we need to. In my head, I was like, we need to go, because to get wriggle out of this situation would mean outing myself, and I'm like, not happening. So I said to my sister, I was like, grab your keys, we're out of here. But there was like a raft of us in the car, and we're all sat, I was in shotgun, and everyone was like, well, no, go back in there, there's still time, Victoria, there's still time, you can still find him. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just find him on Facebook. No intention of finding him on Facebook. I was like, oh, it's okay, like if it's meant to be, it'll be. And my friends were like, no, go back in there, we can still fix this. And see, for a while I like coasted on that to allow myself to hide behind it. So there was this poor imaginary guy. I was like, but remember that one time that guy really, he wanted a piece of this, and it allowed me to kind of buy myself time. I was like, Victoria can't be gay because there was that one time at that party.
But I've told you this, and it was something that I just kind of like repressed and like put the back of my mind. But I remember, and it was the year that I like left school. So I left school at the end of 5th year, like after I'd sat my exams and stuff. And I ended up making friends with a group of people that used to hang about in Glasgow. I was 16 at the time, and like there was like a mixed kind of age group. So some of them were the same age as me or similar. Some of them were a few years older because they used to like jump into the shops for us and like get our carry out for us. There would be people that were a little bit younger, so there were people that were like 13, 14 as well. But the one thing that everyone had in common was that they were all LGBTQ. And that was like a very separate group of friends that I had. I met them on the internet. Like one of them was someone who kept like popping up in like my like mutual friends on Facebook, and like I think I didn't even we weren't even friends at the time like on Facebook. But do you remember like back when everyone used to post like Ask FM?
Yeah.
Or maybe I had actually added them on Facebook because I thought like, oh, they look cool, and I hadn't clocked that actually like I fancied them. I was like, that person looks cool. I'm in a relationship. I'm not gay. I'm straight.
I'm not gay.
I'm not gay.
I'm not gay. But
I'm not gay. There's something that's just like making me gravitate towards this person. And they put up like an Ask FM. So like I like slid in there and I was like, oh, like you seem really cool, or like I find you attractive or something like that. But like I'm scared to message you. Or like I maybe had said something like, oh, like I'd love to like get to know you or like chat to you or something, but I'm scared to message you. And they were like, just message me. So I did. And like, so that was my way into like the LGBT youth scene in Glasgow at like 16 years old. And like I said, this group of friends was like very separate. I had friends in high school who were experimenting a little bit with their sexuality or like who were out, but that just wasn't something that I felt comfortable kind of like exploring or expressing with my friends in the village that I was from. So for me, it was like going up to Glasgow and being around other people, and I hadn't quite been honest with myself at that point, and it's clearly something I have like repressed for like, I keep saying repressed. Do I mean repressed or suppressed? Suppressed.
What's the difference?
I don't know. I think suppressed. Like suppressed all throughout like my fucking teenage years, my early 20s, because there was a lot of shame around it. But and also I was in this relationship like with a guy at the time. We were together for like 5 years on and off. But when I'd go up to Glasgow, like the person whose DMs had slid into, like we would get drunk and we'd make out and we'd flirt. And I remember because I was like convinced that I was straight, and I remember them making a comment. They said this to me a few times. They were always like spaghetti straight until it's wet. And I'll never be able to get that comment out of my head.
You know, we've got to look at pasta the same way again.
They later, like a few years later, they actually came out as trans, and they have now fully transitioned. But this just goes to show like how deeply my own like internalized homophobia ran, because I remember specifically saying to them around the time that they came out, bearing in mind I was still only like maybe 19 at most at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I still had a lot of like unlearning and stuff to do. We're talking like a good 9, 10 years ago. We've had a conversation before where if you don't look back on your old self and cringe, then you're not growing as a person.
Yeah.
And I remember like one of the first things I said to them when they came out as trans was, "Oh, does that not technically make me straight then? Like if I maybe knew deep down that you were actually a guy,
Yeah.
and those were like the things I was attracted to in you,
Mm-hmm.
but actually it was like the masculine qualities, but that's gendered, like that's not specifically related to someone's sex or sexual organs. It's so complex. Like I think sexuality in general, like gender is so complex. It's not this black and white thing that so many people seem to think that it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I remember I just convinced myself, no, but I'm straight. Like I must have known deep down that this person knew that they were a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I justified it, and that's how I like convinced myself. Like that's how deep that shame ran. Anyway, that got a little bit deep.
I know, because like the story I had like that popped in my head after it is even deeper still, and I'm like, what was supposed to be a light-hearted one? Let's go deep.
That's what she said.
But I'm not gay.
I'm not gay.
I'm not gay. I just fancy you.
But I suppose like another thing that maybe like triggered that whole like spiral where I initially reached out to that person was, it was the one I said to you the other night. I was like, I'm not gay, I just like watching videos of girls making out. Because I think that was probably one of the first things that I did where I was like, I'm curious. Like I just started like searching it on YouTube. I was like, I just want to search up girls kissing and see if I feel anything.
See if it makes me feel more alive. See, I was almost like too scared to do that. Like, I dared not mention it, look for it, lest I be found out. But like, it didn't take up this. It's like I spoke to my sister about it because my sister sometimes gets upset about, I can't believe, because obviously we're identical twins. She's like, we had the same childhood, but you spent so much of your time covering yourself up and covering your tracks, whereas I just got to grow up and be me. But looking back on my like childhood and early teenage years and like early adulthood, like it didn't take up too much of my time. I think because I pushed it so far down.
That's how I feel about the last like 10 or so years of my life, where it's just not been something I've like confronted.
Because I remember, do you remember that song "Same Love" of Macklemore?
No.
So when I was in my last year at high school, I used to get up every morning and I would put the hits on the TV just while I was getting ready, and it would like run down. I had this ridiculous knowledge of the charts, and like I used to be able to like kind of semi-accurately predict where things would lie when they get released, because I would.
Is this what you were spending your time doing because you were avoiding parties?
Yeah. I would come home from school, I would do my yoga on the Wii Fit, because it was so cool. But I would have the radio on and the hits on, so I used to be really well versed in the charts and popular music and like the kind of facts behind all the music videos, because they would always run along the bottom of the screen. But I remember one morning getting ready for work, I was a dishwasher. A kitchen porter is actually the proper term. Get it right. I was getting ready for work and my mum came into my room to ask me something, but Same Love was playing, and obviously I hadn't put it on. It was the charts, so it was just in the charts, but I remember feeling really agitated that it was on in the background. Like this gay stuff was on in my room and my mum could see it, and I remember thinking either get the telly off or get her out or like steer her out of the room. And kind of get rid of it, but it wasn't like at the time. I remember how I felt at the time, and I couldn't, like, it wasn't a get her out, I'm gay and she's going to know. It was just like two worlds starting to collide, and I remember thinking, oh no, we're not entertaining that, because I remember the first like girl that I'd kind of had a something with, and she lived out in Edinburgh, and I remember one day she out and out texted me going, you know, I wouldn't mind if you were gay. But she was trying to get it out of me the entire time, but I would not budge.
Wait, you were seeing her, but
Yeah.
what did you?
I wouldn't say we were seeing each other, we were hanging out, but we were getting closer and closer and closer. And like things were getting, shall we say, weird. But in my head I'm like, mm-mm. But at the same time,
Did you know that she was gay? Was she?
she was very openly bi.
Right. Okay.
So I don't think it bothered her either way. Whereas
that was you kind of like testing the waters, where you're like, I know that this person likes girls. I'm maybe not quite ready to admit that about myself yet, but I'm just gonna like push my way in there and see what happens.
Yep. And then I remember one night I was through at hers, and for want of a better word, had a full-on panic attack in her living room. I remember this is a penny dropped while I was sat on her couch, and I thought, no. And like I'd obviously like I'd known I was gay, but like it was almost as if it came out of my subconscious and into the forefront, going, no, you like, there's no way out of this. Like you're a lesbian. And I remember thinking, oh fuck. And I remember as I was sat there, I actually swung my hand to the front of her mouth, and she was like, "You all right?" And like nobody was anywhere near each other. I was just sat there, and I was just, and she was like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "No." And she was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I think I'm having a panic attack." But like, and I'd like to point out she was a fair bit older, so I think she knew full well the penny had dropped.
Right. Okay.
And I remember thinking, right, I need to go. And I was working in Edinburgh at the time. And I was through in Edinburgh. And she's like, "Why don't you just stay? Because if you're going to work in the morning." And I was like, "No, I need to go." Because in my head I thought, if you don't come home, your mum will know you've stayed at this girl's house. And she'll know you're gay. And
even though you literally could have just been staying there as a friend.
Yep.
Which would probably be the first thing your mum would probably.
But I didn't go to parties, and all of a sudden I'm staying at this girl's house, and I'm like, nope. And I remember she sat and she ran her hands through my hair as I sat there on this couch. Like the sweat was hoying at me. It was almost as if all the alarm bells were ringing, going, "You're a lesbian, you're a lesbian." And I didn't know how to deal with that information. It was all hitting at once, and she was like that away from me. And she's like, "I think we should stay." And I was like, "Nope, need to go." And I like got up. The wrong she fought the good fight for me staying over. She was like, "I think you should stay." She was like, "Why don't you go lie down in my bed?" And I'm like,
because I think I remember you telling me that like there were a few times where you maybe got close to like staying at someone's house or whatever, or things getting physically intimate, and then you wriggled your way out.
I'm like, do you know what? I think I left my straighteners on. And I need straighteners. That's
convenient. I'm gonna wait to iron the guy out.
I just need to go iron. I'll see you later. I should go home and stand in a cold shower. But like when I got to her door, she had her, like, I was facing the door, she was facing me, but she had her back to her own front door, but she stood with her hands on the handle. And she was like, "Are you sure you want to leave?" And I'm like my ovaries were like, "No, stay." But my brain was like, "Get out, go home." And the full way home, I was like, "Oh shit." It was like this, I couldn't even describe it. It was like this weird, like, at that point I knew, I was like, there's absolutely no denying this. And I thought, you're in big trouble if you entertain this. Like, if you entertain this, you're going to end up outing yourself. And then the internal kind of turmoil then switched itself on.
Do you know what's interesting? Because I feel like I can relate to that a lot with, like, see, the situation that I was talking about with the person that I was, like, meeting up with and, like, getting drunk and, like, making out with and stuff. Because I feel as if there were, like, a few times where we kind of referenced or, like, would flirt about things going any further. But, like, I'd always convince myself, like, no, I'm straight, I'm in a relationship with a guy, that's the way that I see my future going. This isn't something I want to pursue any further. Even though I knew there was a part of me, like, I could feel my hormones raging when I was like, just fucking like lean into it. There was another part of me that was like, no, like, what if I hate it? Like, what if it's all just this big mistake? Or like I'm not actually into it, or I don't enjoy it. Like the thought of actually like physically having sex with someone of the same gender like grossed me out as well, which is really weird. Like it wasn't like it was, but I think that was like a lot of internalized shame, right? Rather than me actually just like it's so, I find it so complex.
See, I would agree, because I found that like after I was outed, there was like quite a lot of questions, and like people were asking me like quite intimate stuff, which FYI, I don't think it's fair because you don't ask straight people this. Like you don't have to go through like the cross examination of what they like in the bedroom and all the rest of it and how abouts they go about it, and
Yeah.
which I found was quite embarrassing to even have to speak about with people,
Hmm.
because surely it's just between you and the person you're with. That's just me, maybe, I don't know. But there was like all these questions, and I remember thinking like, ew. There was an element that was like, I can't think about that. Like that's gross. And then people were like, but you're gay. Like that's what you are. And I'm like, like it's like you're saying, it's so complex. Like I didn't know where to place myself or what to think.
And I think like the more that you let that shame engulf you, like the more you kind of internalize it and build it up in your head to be this thing, you're like, actually, I'm not sure if I want this or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what like stopped me from exploring things further. Like after I kind of went through that like part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, like I didn't have another experience similar to that until I was in uni. So I made an Instagram post about this recently, like my whole coming out process, because I first officially came out when I was in uni. I dropped out of uni 2 years in a row, and then I finally went back a third time, and it was when I was in my second year of uni, like the third and final time I went back to uni. When I was in second year, I was like a freshers helper, so I was helping out with like the running of like freshers week for the new students starting, and I went to Glasgow Uni, so there was this whole like culture of like Freshers Week being this big thing, and there's freshers helpers for the different unions, and everyone just gets like fucked up for the entire week as well. So we all help out with the events, but there's like pre drinks every night, like people get drunk. And there was one of the other freshers helpers who was like a year or I think they were a year older than me. And like she just came up to me like one night and like started flirting with me. But she was like a proper like she described herself like self-described as a fuck boy. Like she was just your typical
Oh
like
no.
mask like fuck boy, like going about like I'm using inverted commas here, like turning the straight girls gay and all that kind of stuff. And she knew what she was doing. Like she had this very kind of like alpha male type mentality. She was fucking around with people, and I was in quite like a vulnerable state. And like I got with her a couple of times. Like I had to be like rat arse drunk though, because I did not feel comfortable in myself like having sex with a woman sober.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I need to like numb myself for this because
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to deal with the anxiety, the shame, like everything else that comes along with
Mm-hmm.
it. I think it was like twice that we like got together. I like totally thought I had like feelings for her and everything as well, but it was obviously just that like high of like wanting to be wanted as opposed to actually like knowing someone and
Mm-hmm.
like knowing anything about them. And I think that after that, like I was just a little bit like, oh shit, like maybe I'm not maybe I'm not gay, like maybe I am actually just straight, and again, like I don't wanna explore that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just something I completely like pushed down
Mm-hmm.
for literally years.
I mean, I'm trying to think at what point I was even out at work. I think like a couple of people maybe knew, but it's when I worked for the NHS, it was like a definite no-no.
Mm.
The last team I worked for in the NHS, it was kind of, I wouldn't say widely known as a Victoria's the resident gay, but it was more like I was quite content speaking about myself in an honest way, just in
Yeah.
passing at work. But like in the beginning, I was like, absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. Like, no one gets to know this information. I was convinced they would use it against me. I don't know how, but I was like, people will look at me differently. And I felt quite like, see, even if I did go out, like when I was at uni, I felt quite threatened out in bars and things like that. I felt like everyone would look at me and know. I don't know what I thought was wrong with that, but I think it's like you're saying, like I had quite a lot of shame tied up in it.
Yeah.
I don't know from where though, because I'd like to put it on record that I am not from a homophobic family. So it wasn't as if I was raised in an environment where people like me were frowned upon. I just had this pent up, there must be something wrong with it.
I don't always think that it has to come from like family though. Like, I mean, you and I are quite similar in the fact that we're both from like small villages where the mentality is probably a bit different to like living in like the inner city where people don't really give a fuck because like there's such a diverse group of people blended together. But like we've spoken about this before as well about how we both went to schools where like pretty much everyone was white.
Yep.
And like there's not really like many like known like non-hetero couples or like even you know things like interracial couples and stuff. Like I didn't really see anything like that in the village that I grew up in. Even though I knew there were people in my school that were gay, it was like there was like that was always like gossip. It was like there would maybe be like one or two like gay people in each year, and like rumors would get spread about them, and like people would talk about it as if it was like something was wrong with them.
Yeah.
And like I remember one of my friends coming out as bi, and she like was interested in someone that she'd like met online, and we all completely like dismissed and invalidated her experience. Like I don't know if we did it to her face, but like behind her back we were all like, oh no, she can't be like she's not actually just interested in this person, she just wants to be like them, like she's just hyper fixating on them. And I realise now like how invalidating like that must have been for her, for us to be like, no, you're not interested in women, like you're just saying that for attention or whatever. Because like why would someone open up and be so vulnerable about something like that when it is such a stigmatized thing in certain spaces? Like it's just shitty to invalidate someone's experience like that.
Because I remember, like, now again, full disclosure, my papa is 90 years old. So, but I remember having a conversation with papa. Like this is long after I came out to him because my papa was probably the last person to know. But like my papa's of the mindset, or was of the mindset at the time. I don't know where he sits on it now, but that like being gay is like a lifestyle choice. So it's equivalent of like choosing brown sauce over tomato sauce for your chips. I think he thought I woke up every day and just opted for that. Like it was an acquired taste, but I was gay.
I mean, if being gay was a choice, I would definitely choose it.
I would pick it again and again and again.
Fuck man.
But I remember saying, like he said something to me at one point. I can't remember what his exact words were, but I remember saying to him, Papa, see if being gay was a choice, why would I choose to get this BS off people and have to justify myself every day?
Yeah.
How would that serve me? Like, yeah, I love putting obstacles in my way and having to answer silly questions from other people that think it's strange or novel or, oh, how do lesbians do that? Like, why on earth would I put that on myself?
Yeah.
Like, it actually took me to a ripe old age. My friend will be able to attest to this. I can't remember what age I was, but I was way older than you would like to actually be able to say the word sex in a sentence. I would not utter the words. My mum thought I was quite prudish growing up, but I think I was just really, really shy.
Yeah.
And I knew I was gay, so there was all that piling on top of it. So I'm like, why on earth, if being gay was a choice, would I have elected that for myself? Doesn't make any sense. But FYI, if it was a choice, I would be choosing it hands down. Like,
I would love to go into like a really in-depth episode on this, I think, like when we've got more time, because if I fully like start on this now, then I won't stop. But like I've said this to you, like I can't say for certain, but I do feel like a lot of my experiences and a lot of my relationships and stuff would indicate that like I am, even like if we think of sexuality as a spectrum, and I believe that it is, like I think there are people on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. I think that I am definitely leaning a lot more towards lesbian, and I think that always has been the case, like deep down, but all these years of like shame and internalized homophobia, and also like recreating trauma in my life, almost like recreating relationships based on trauma and wanting to be wanted by men, but then actually like when I've been in like a safe and happy and secure relationship, like it's actually not fulfilled me. Like I've never enjoyed sex with men.
I'm gonna say can't say I have either, but
I've never enjoyed it. It's never something I've like lusted after. it's always something that like men that I was in relationships with would like make me feel bad for almost, where it was like you never make the first move, like you never do XYZ, where actually like deep down I think it was just because like I didn't actually want it. I like the idea of being wanted by them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to be wanted, but like when I actually had someone, I was like, I don't. This isn't fulfilling me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not like I don't know. I think it's definitely a bit of a complex one for me, but I think that like for sure, like compet has like showed up a lot in my life, and it's
Mm-hmm.
probably been the reason why I've always gone for or like tried to pursue relationships with men when actually deep down like that wasn't what I wanted, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
what fulfilled me. And I don't think I truly realised that like until we started dating.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, this is literally like everything that I've ever like wanted in a relationship. And I don't think that a man could ever provide me with like half the things that I get from our relationship. And so like even if like touch wood like things were to go wrong or like not work out between us, like I couldn't imagine I couldn't imagine myself ever being with a man again, and that's the God's honest truth.
Sorry, fellas. Don't send a man to do a lesbian's job.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there are any more I'm not a lesbian but moments that I can think of.
Me too. I do remember. I don't think this is tied directly to me being gay, but it more about like gender identity. I remember being about 6, and my mum, bless her, she's getting a rollicking in this podcast. She's a lovely woman.
We love
She
Irene.
love her. Love you, mum. Love you.
Should get her on the podcast one day.
Special guest Irene. Moon in hen. Mum edition. But I remember being about maybe 6, and I think it was the night before going back to school, and mum, she was joking, but I don't know whether she was trying to see if I would go along with it, but she said that the head teacher had phoned and said, as a yawn, had said that all girls had to be in skirts, otherwise they weren't allowed to come to school. And I remember, like, we were out in a restaurant, and I remember kind of, we were at like a booth, and I kind of curled up on this booth, and I remember thinking, like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to, like, go to school. Like, I was like, I can't physically go to school if I'm not allowed to wear trousers. Like, it will not be happening. And I bawled my eyes out. And I don't know how long it went on for. It felt to me like it went on for a lifetime, but eventually mum was like, you do know I'm only joking. And then I just sat back up and went on with my dinner. I felt instantly better.
Brutal.
You can't make me wear this.
Yeah, I was not a fan of skirts in high school.
I was never a fan of skirts.
I'm now just pondering what the hell I'm going to wear today. I suppose this
I've
kind
got
of
my little cocktail dress all lined up and kind of
I suppose this kind of ties into what we've just been talking about. So today is my little baby brother's 17th birthday.
Not to be confused
Shout out
with
to Lewis.
Colin, who's the nephew.
Yeah, so Lewis
Not that baby.
Lewis turned 17 today. We're
Happy
heading
birthday.
round to my mum's house later for like a little birthday dinner thing, because it was also my grandpa's 90th birthday earlier on in the month. So it'll be Toria's first time meeting like half of my family, because she's met the rest of them now. But she'll be meeting my grandparents for the first time, and she will be getting introduced as my special friend.
And this is special friend.
I have not come out to my grandparents yet. I'm not ready to come out to my grandparents yet. I'm just kind of seeing how that goes. Like they'll find out when they find out, but I want to do it in my own goddamn time. So we're not addressing it today.
Nope, we're on best behaviour today.
Yeah, Toria's just my.
I'm just your special friend.
Obviously, the rest of my family know that Toria and I are together, but yeah, this is my first queer relationship. A lot of this has just been kind of, well, it's all been new for me. Kind of being the gay sibling, being the gay child.
You're the token gay of your family.
I am.
How does that feel?
So yeah, on that note,
We need to get ready.
We need to get ready.
I need to put my little black dress on. I cannot. I've brought
Don't
Vans.
forget to bring your hot tub with you.
Yeah, I need to bring my hot tub with me. Since I was not awake this morning. I'm just trying to speak.
We would also love to know what you guys...
Like, if you're not gay but moments, let us know in the comments. I want to hear them all.
Drop us a message, leave us a little comment, let us know your favourite I'm not gay but moments. As always, my Instagram is tailormadetraining.pt.
And I am VB the PT.
And we are vegans and vegetarians.
We have been your hosts. We're off to a birthday party, so peace out.
See yous.